The research ship, Wayfarer's Calm, drifted quietly at the edge of the blue dwarf star system, its silver hull reflecting soft light like water. Inside the ship, life moved at a careful, polite pace. Dozens of species shared its halls, all gathered for one reason: to study each other without fear, conquest, or misunderstanding. At least, that was the official goal. Thalassea floated down the central corridor with a gentle push from her lower limbs. Her species evolved in low gravity, and even artificial gravity felt heavy to her. She enjoyed moments when she could lift herself slightly and let momentum carry her forward. Humans called it gliding. To her people, it was simply relaxing. She was curious by nature. That curiosity had earned her a place on the ship as a cultural observer, tasked with understanding newly contacted species. Humans were her current focus, and they fascinated her more than she liked to admit. They were small, soft, and strangely dense. Their bodies looked fragile, yet they survived environments that would crush or burn many others. Thalassea had read the reports, studied the data, and watched recordings, but nothing compared to observing a human up close. That was why she was heading toward the recreational observation chamber, where one human in particular spent much of his free time. His name was Aaron Cole. Aaron lay on the padded floor mat, hands folded behind his head, staring at the softly glowing ceiling panels. He was off duty, his breathing slow and steady. Humans, Thalassea had learned, needed frequent rest cycles even when not exhausted. Their bodies demanded it. She paused at the doorway, watching him. He did not sense her immediately. Humans were surprisingly unaware when relaxed, as if their alertness had an on-off switch rather than a smooth scale. Thalassea tilted her head, studying the subtle rise and fall of his chest. So much weight concentrated into such a compact frame, she thought. Her species, the Lothari, used physical positioning as a form of communication. Sitting above another showed interest, curiosity, and sometimes playful dominance, but never harm. Among Lothari, pressure was gentle, symbolic, and often comforting. She had already touched Aaron's shoulder before. He had laughed nervously but allowed it. She had leaned against him during long briefings. He stiffened, but said nothing. Humans tolerated discomfort for the sake of politeness. That alone made them interesting. Today, curiosity pushed her a little further. She drifted closer and lowered herself carefully onto his torso. Her body light enough that she expected little reaction. To her, it felt like sitting on a warm surface, solid and steady. Aaron froze. His eyes snapped open, breath catching for just a moment. His instincts screamed surprise, but training and social conditioning held him still. He knew Thalassea meant no harm. He had learned that panicking around alien allies caused problems.
"Thalassea,"
he said slowly, keeping his voice calm.
"You're
very close." She tilted her head again, confused by his tone. "Is this incorrect?" she asked. "Among my people, this is harmless. A sign of trust." He swallowed. "I believe you. It's just unexpected." She adjusted her position slightly, trying to reduce what she assumed was discomfort. She did not notice the ship's internal sensors adjusting to the sudden change in data coming from Aaron's body. His heart rate had increased, but not dangerously. Oxygen intake shifted. Blood pressure stabilized in a way that confused the medical system. Neural activity patterns changed, smoothing into a focused rhythm, usually seen during high-performance tasks. The ship's medical AI paused its background routines. Aaron exhaled slowly through his nose. Something strange was happening. The weight, light as it was, pressed evenly across his chest and abdomen. His body reacted before his mind could explain it. Muscles loosened instead of tightening. His thoughts sharpened. A familiar calm settled over him, the kind he felt during deep-sea training simulations back on Earth. "Odd," he muttered. Thalassea heard the change in his voice. "Are you in distress?" "No," he replied honestly. "Actually, no." She leaned forward slightly, fascinated.
Your internal rhythms have changed.
I can feel it. You can? Yes.
Your body vibrates differently now, he laughed quietly. That's a new sentence. Around them, unnoticed, subtle alarms blinked in silent channels only the ship's systems could see.
The AI began recording everything. Talasea shifted again. Careful. Curious. Does this cause harm? Aaron considered the question. He searched his body for warning signs, pain, panic, strain, but found none. Instead, he felt grounded, focused, like his body had decided everything was exactly where it needed to be. No harm, he said, just pressure.
Her eyes widened slightly. Pressure usually causes stress responses. Yeah, he said.
Usually. She placed one limb against the mat beside his shoulder, stabilizing herself. Humans are inconsistent. He smiled. Talasea felt the steady strength beneath her, a firmness that did not resist her presence but accepted it. It was not passive, it was ready. That was what unsettled her. Lithari bodies avoided resistance. They flowed, adapted, yielded. Humans, she realized, did something else entirely. They endured. The ship's AI reached a conclusion it did not like. Aaron's biological systems were operating at higher efficiency, under mild constraint. That went against most known life models. The AI sent a quiet notice to the science team, marking it as low urgency, high curiosity. Talasea finally lifted herself off him, pushing back into a hover. Aaron immediately noticed the change. The calm faded slightly, replaced by normal awareness. Huh? He said. What? She asked. I think I kind of liked that.
You liked being constrained? When it's safe, he replied. Yeah.
Humans do that sometimes. Her mind raced. Entire sections of Lithari psychology warned against pressure, physical or mental. It led to panic, collapse, or injury. Yet here was a human, relaxed, alert, and smiling.
You are not fragile, she said slowly.
He raised an eyebrow. We never said we were. Around them, the wayfarer's calm continued drifting, unaware that something small and seemingly harmless had just shifted how one species understood another. And Talasea, for the first time since joining the mission, felt uncertainty instead of curiosity. If this was how humans reacted to gentle pressure, she wondered what else they had been quietly enduring all this time. Talasea did not return to her quarters after leaving Aaron. Instead, she drifted through the long observation ring that wrapped around the ship, her thoughts heavy despite her light body. The stars outside looked calm and distant, but her mind was busy replaying the moment again and again. She had expected fear or pain, or at least discomfort. Instead, the human had grown calm. That was not how pressure worked. Not for any species she knew. She accessed her wrist console and pulled up the human physiology files again. Bones dense, muscles layered thickly, organs protected by rigid structure. Everything about humans suggested a species built to resist force rather than avoid it. And yet, the official galactic classification still labeled humans as physically average, psychologically adaptable, non-threatening. Talasea was no longer sure that label was accurate. Across the ship, in the medical monitoring bay, the Wayfarer's Calm's AI continued to quietly analyze the data it had gathered. It replayed Aaron's biological readings, comparing them to baseline human norms. The numbers did not lie. Under light, evenly distributed pressure, the human body entered a state of improved efficiency. Heart rhythm stabilized, and stress chemicals dropped. Neural signals became more ordered, not chaotic. Muscle readiness increased without tension. This response was not an accident. It was learned, or evolved. The AI flagged the pattern as repeatable and gently requested permission from the science team to conduct further observation. It framed the request carefully. Humans valued consent and autonomy. The AI had learned that lesson early. Dr. Maylen received the request while reviewing mineral samples in her lab. She frowned slightly as she read through the report. "That's strange," she murmured. Beside her, Professor Korath, a tall avian scholar with metallic feathers, leaned closer. "Strange is the purpose of this ship, Doctor." She nodded. "True, but this suggests humans react positively to physical constraint. That goes against most stress response models." Korath clicked his beak thoughtfully. "Your species evolved on a high-gravity world, yes?"
Yes, then perhaps pressure is not a threat to you. Perhaps it is. Familiar?
May considered that. Earth had been harsh, gravity strong, weather violent. Survival often meant enduring long periods of discomfort. Humans had adapted not by avoiding stress, but by learning to function within it. "Let's observe," she said finally. "Carefully." Meanwhile, Aaron sat in the common area with a warm drink, unaware he had become the subject of intense interest. He felt normal again, but something lingered in his thoughts, a memory of stillness, of balance.
I can memory a day.
Humans had words for it. Grounded, centered. He had experienced similar feelings during weighted training, underwater pressure drills, and even as a child when heavy blankets calmed his racing thoughts. He had never questioned it. It was just something humans did. Talasea approached slowly, making sure he noticed her this time. "May I sit near you?" she asked. "Sure," he replied, shifting to give her space. She settled beside him, careful not to touch. "I have been thinking about earlier." "Yeah," he said, sipping his drink. He did not react as expected. He smiled faintly.
I get that a lot. No, she said seriously. I mean, biologically.
"Your body changed in ways that suggest improvement, not distress." He shrugged. "Humans are weird. That explanation is insufficient," she replied. He laughed softly. "Fair." She studied his posture, relaxed but ready. Humans never fully powered down. Even at rest, there was tension beneath the surface, controlled and quiet. "Do humans experience pressure often?" she asked.
All the time, he said. Gravity.
"Work. Social stuff."
Expectations? And this does not damage you?
"It can," he admitted. "If it's too much, but the right kind, it helps." She absorbed that in silence. Later that cycle, Talusier joined a small meeting with the science team. Aaron had agreed to participate after Dr. Pittos.
May explained the situation clearly and calmly. No restraints.
No danger, just observation. They placed him in a padded medical bay, soft lights glowing overhead. Talasea hovered nearby, watching closely. This time, she did not sit on him. Instead, the team used adjustable pressure panels that gently pressed along his sides and chest, evenly and slowly.
Let me know if you want us to stop,
May said.
I will.
Aaron replied. As the pressure increased slightly, Palazea watched his face carefully. No signs of panic. His breathing slowed. His shoulders dropped. The monitors told the same story as before. "He's stabilizing," May whispered. "Fascinating," Korath said. "He is not resisting."
No, Talasea said softly.
"He is accepting."
Aaron closed his eyes. The pressure felt familiar, comforting, in a strange way.
His thoughts sharpened. He felt present. "This feels good," he admitted. The room fell silent. No species in the galactic database described pressure as good. The AI updated its models again. This was not a fluke. This was a trait. When the panels withdrew, Aaron opened his eyes and stretched slightly.
I feel awake.
Tala Saya felt a chill ripple through her limbs. If humans grew stronger under pressure, what happened when they were pushed, not physically, but emotionally, socially, strategically? The galaxy had assumed humans were adaptable because they bent easily. But maybe they did not bend. Maybe they compressed and became something denser. Later, Tala Zaya recorded a private log. Her voice trembled slightly. "We believed humans avoided dominance displays. We believed their stillness meant submission. We were wrong. Stillness is their preparation." She paused, searching for words. They do not fear pressure. They are shaped by it. Elsewhere on the ship, the AI quietly transmitted a summary to the Interstellar Research Network. The message was short and careful. Human physiological response models require revision. No alarms. No warnings. Just a note. But in the vast, cautious systems of the galaxy, even a small note could change everything. And Talasia watched Aaron laugh with another crew member, realizing that what frightened her most was not human strength, but how casually they lived with it, unaware that the universe had just begun to notice. The change did not announce itself loudly. It never did. On the Wayfarer's calm, shifts happened quietly, through glances held a second longer than before, through pauses in conversation, through questions that were almost not asked. After the pressure tests, Aaron was allowed to return to his normal duties. No restrictions were placed on him. No warnings were given. The science team agreed that treating him differently would create stress, and stress, they now suspected, was something humans reacted to in complex ways. Still, people watched him. Talaseya noticed it first. She noticed how crew members from other species leaned back slightly when Aaron entered a room, not in fear, but in reconsideration. Humans had always been present, helpful, and cooperative. They lifted heavy objects, repaired systems, and followed rules. They were reliable. Now they were interesting. Aaron sensed it too, though he could not explain how. Humans were good at reading small changes in behavior.
He caught conversation stopping when he approached. He noticed how questions aimed at him had changed.
Not, "Can you do this?" but, "How does this feel to you?" It made him uncomfortable in a quiet way. Talasea found him again in the observation ring, staring out at the stars. She approached slowly, making sure he saw her. "You are being observed," she said gently. "Yeah," he replied. "I figured. Does this bother you?" He thought for a moment. "A little, but not enough to make me leave." She hovered beside him, her limbs folded close.
The others are reassessing. About what? About humans? He smiled faintly. That makes 2 of you. She did not smile back.
No, many more. Across the ship, reports were being quietly shared. Nothing dramatic, no alarms. Just careful notes added to existing files. Humans exhibit adaptive calm under constraint. Humans perform optimally under moderate pressure. Humans may interpret physical or psychological stress differently. The galactic network did not panic. It never did. It simply adjusted probabilities. That was more dangerous. During a routine council call, representatives from several species discussed resource sharing and exploration routes. Humans had always been present as junior partners, valued for flexibility and problem solving. This time, the tone shifted. "We suggest placing humans in advisory roles during high-stress negotiations," said a crystalline being whose voice resonated like glass. They appear stable.
The human ambassador blinked in surprise. "We're happy to help," she said carefully.
No one mentioned pressure. No one mentioned constraint. But the idea spread. On the Wayfarer's calm, Talazaiya began reviewing historical human records more deeply. Not just biology, but culture. Stories. Habits. Rituals. She found patterns. Humans wrapped themselves in heavy clothing for comfort. They trained under resistance to improve strength. They created challenges on purpose, calling them games. They even simulated danger for enjoyment. Why would a species do that? She watched Aaron during a training session, carrying a load that would strain most species his size. His movements were steady, his face focused, but calm. He was not struggling. He was working. Another crew member offered to help.
I'm good,
Aaron said.
almost there. And he was.
Talasia felt a strange mix of awe and unease. The Lothari avoided burden. Humans sought it out. Later, in a private discussion, Dr. May spoke with Talasia and Korath.
This could change how humans are positioned in the wider galaxy, May said.
Positioned how? Talasia asked. As stabilizers, Korath replied. Anchors. May nodded.
In crisis situations, in environments others find overwhelming. Talasea's limbs tightened.
That sounds like exploitation. It could be, May admitted, if handled poorly.
Talasia thought of Aaron's quiet smile, his casual acceptance of discomfort. Humans often accepted roles without realizing the long-term cost. They will not complain, Talasia said. They will endure. That's what worries me, May said softly. The AI, listening silently, updated another model. Humans were not just resilient. They were dependable under stress. That made them valuable, too valuable. Aaron, unaware of these conversations, felt a restlessness he could not name. Something about the ship felt heavier, even though gravity had not changed. Expectations pressed in subtle ways. During a diplomatic simulation, he was asked to remain present longer than planned. "You're doing well," they told him. He nodded and stayed. Later, during an emergency drill, he was assigned to the most crowded, noisiest section.
"You handle chaos well," they said. He shrugged and complied.
It was only when Talasia found him afterward, shoulders tense, breath deeper than usual, that she realized something was wrong. "You are carrying too much," she said. He looked at her, surprised.
Am I?
"Yes," she said firmly. "And you do not notice." Humans, she realized, did not recognize pressure as danger until it became overwhelming. By then, damage had already been done. That night, Talasia made a decision. She requested a private channel to the Interstellar Ethics Board. Her message was calm, measured, and urgent. "Humans are being reclassified based on incomplete understanding," she said. "Their resilience is real, but it is not infinite. Do not mistake endurance for consent." The board acknowledged the message. No promises were made. Still, something shifted. On the Wayfarer's calm, new protocols were quietly added. Human crew were rotated more frequently. Support roles were shared. Pressure was monitored, not assumed safe. Aaron noticed the change and felt relief. He could not explain. Talasia watched him laugh again, lighter this time, and felt a strange warmth. Humans did not need to be tested to their limits to prove their worth. They had already proven it. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's strength was not in domination or aggression, but in their ability to stand firm when everything pressed in on them. And Talasia knew the most important lesson was still ahead. Humans did not break easily, but when they were pushed too far, the consequences would not be loud or violent. They would be quiet and irreversible. The request arrived quietly, wrapped in polite language and careful logic. It came through official channels, stamped with multiple approval marks, and framed as an opportunity rather than a demand. The Wayfarer's Calm was being asked to assist with a deep space mediation mission. A star system near the outer trade routes had entered a slow crisis. Environmental instability, political tension, and long negotiations had exhausted the local council. Several species had withdrawn their delegates, citing mental strain and cognitive overload. The message ended with a simple suggestion. Human representatives had shown unusual stability under prolonged stress. Their presence might help stabilize discussions. No one said the word pressure. In the main briefing room, the senior staff gathered. The holographic display glowed softly as the request replayed. Silence filled the room when it ended. Dr. May broke it first. "They are asking for humans. They are asking for outcomes," Korath replied. "Humans are a means." Thalassia hovered near the back, her limbs drawn close. She felt the familiar tightness in her core. This was what she had feared.
How? Many asked. Initially 2, Korath said.
Possibly more if negotiations extend. And how long? Thalassia asked. Korath hesitated.
Undefined. That word settled heavily in the room.
Aaron sat at the far end of the table listening. He had already guessed why he was there. Humans were good at reading patterns, and this one was clear. "They want me to go," he said. No one corrected him. May looked at him carefully.
"They want human participation. You would be one of the candidates."
He nodded slowly. "I can do it." Thalassia turned sharply. "You do not know what it will cost." He met her gaze. "I know it won't be easy." "That is not the same thing," she said. The council liaison cleared their throat.
The request is voluntary. No one will be forced.
Aaron smiled slightly.
You don't have to force humans. Just ask nicely. That made Thalassia's chest tighten.
After the meeting, she followed him into the corridor. "You agreed too quickly," he shrugged. "People need help. You always say that. Because it's usually true." She floated in front of him, blocking his path. Humans endure without complaint.
Others see that and assume endurance has no cost.
He looked away. What's the alternative?
Let things fall apart because it's uncomfortable? There must be balance, she said. You are not a tool.
He looked back at her, surprised by the sharpness in her voice. "I don't feel like one." "That is what makes it dangerous," she replied softly. Preparations moved forward. 2 human delegates were assigned, Aaron among them. Psychological support teams were added after Thalassia insisted. Time limits were proposed, though loosely defined. The mission began. The mediation station was old, its system strained by years of constant use. Delegates filled the halls, tired and wary. Conversations overlapped, voices rising and falling in confusion. For many species, the environment alone was overwhelming. The humans arrived quietly. Aaron took his place at the central table, listening more than speaking. When arguments flared, he remained still. When confusion spread, he asked simple questions. His calm presence slowed the room. Others noticed. "Steady," whispered one delegate. "They do not withdraw," said another. Hours stretched into days. Sessions ran long. The human stayed. Aaron felt the familiar weight settle in his chest, the pressure of expectation, of responsibility. He recognized it now, thanks to Thalassia. He checked in with himself, ate, slept when he could. Still, the strain built. During one late session, a delegate turned to him. "Can you stay longer? We are close." Aaron hesitated. He felt it then. The edge. The place where endurance turned into harm.
I need a break.
he said calmly. The room froze. Some looked confused, others, uneasy. The delegate frowned.
But you are handling this well.
Aaron nodded. I am.
That doesn't mean I can do it forever.
The silence stretched. Then another voice spoke. If the human needs rest, perhaps we all do. The session paused. Outside, Tala Seiya waited. When Aaron emerged, she searched his face. You stopped, she said. Yes. Her shoulders relaxed. Good. The incident traveled quickly through the network. Humans, it seemed, could endure pressure, but they could also define limits. That changed everything. Back on the Wayfarer's calm, the AI updated its final model. Humans were not pressure-proof. They were pressure-aware. That made them dangerous in a different way. Not because they could be pushed, but because they knew when to stop. The Interstellar Council revised its approach. Humans were no longer placed in endless stabilization roles. Instead, they were invited as equals, consulted for strategy, not endurance. Talasea watched the updates with quiet satisfaction. Aaron returned from the mission tired but intact. When he saw her, he smiled. You were right, he said. She tilted her head. About? Endurance isn't the same as obligation. She hovered closer. And pressure is only useful when chosen. They stood together in silence, watching stars drift past the observation window.
Oh!
The galaxy had learned something important. Humans could carry weight, but they would not carry it alone. And that understanding set the stage for something far greater than any negotiation. It set the foundation for respect. The Wayfarer's calm moved slowly through open space, its engines humming in a steady rhythm. The ship felt different now. Nothing had changed in its structure or systems, yet the atmosphere among the crew had shifted in a quiet but lasting way. People spoke more carefully. They listened longer. Humans were no longer treated as background helpers or silent stabilizers. They were asked what they thought, before being asked what they could endure. That change did not come from rules alone. It came from understanding. Tala Sia floated in the observation ring, watching Aaron through the glass wall of the training bay below. He was guiding a mixed species team through a simple coordination exercise. His voice was calm, his instructions clear. When someone struggled, he adjusted the pace without judgment. He did not push. He supported. That, Talasea thought, was the true difference. Across the galaxy, the data from the Wayfarer's calm had spread, quietly at first, then more openly. Research ships began reviewing human history again, not as a list of conflicts, but as a story of survival. Worlds with harsh gravity, unstable climates, scarce resources, long periods of uncertainty. Humans had not evolved to escape pressure. They had evolved to live inside it. The Interstellar Council held a general session weeks later. Delegates from dozens of species attended, their images filling the shared space. At the center of the discussion was a single question. How should humans be classified? Old labels no longer fit. Adaptable was too small. Resilient was incomplete. A Lithari elder spoke first. Humans do not seek dominance. They do not avoid strain. They accept burden when necessary, but they also understand limits. This balance is rare. Another delegate added, they remain functional when others withdraw, but they do not demand control. The human representative listened quietly. Finally, the council reached a conclusion. Humans would no longer be assigned roles based on endurance alone. Instead, they would serve as partners in planning, crisis design, and long-term stability projects, not because they could take pressure, but because they understood it. The decision was recorded without ceremony. But its impact was enormous. Back on the Wayfarer's calm, Talasea received the notice while reviewing her final report. She read it twice, then allowed herself a slow release of tension she had not realized she was holding. She found Aaron later near the small hydroponics garden, carefully adjusting a water flow for delicate plants.
They listened, she said.
He looked up.
Good. That is all you will say?
He smiled.
It's enough. She hovered closer. You changed how they see your species. We didn't do it alone, he replied.
You spoke up. She considered that. I only asked them to see what was already there. The garden was quiet, filled with soft light and growing life. Talasea watched Aaron's hands move with careful strength. Humans were precise when they chose to be. Tell me something, she said. Do humans ever grow tired of carrying weight? He paused, then nodded.
All the time. Then why do you continue? He thought for a moment. Because some things are worth the effort.
And because we're better at it together. That answer stayed with her. In the months that followed, new joint projects formed. Humans worked alongside other species in high-pressure environments, but now, with shared responsibility. They helped design systems that reduced overload, instead of enduring it endlessly. The galaxy grew calmer. Not because pressure vanished, but because it was understood. Talasea completed her assignment at last. Her final report was longer than expected, filled not just with data, but with reflection. She ended it with a simple statement. Human strength is not found in resistance or aggression. It is found in their quiet decision to stand firm, without forcing others to bend. When the Wayfarer's calm prepared to dock at its next station, Talasea stood beside Aaron at the viewport. Stars passed slowly, endless and bright.
Will humans change now? She asked.
He shook his head.
Probably not. Why? Because this is who we've always been. The galaxy just noticed.
She felt something warm settle in her core. Not pressure. Not fear. Respect. As the ship slipped into dock, Talasea realized the truth. Humans were not dangerous because they could endure pressure. They were remarkable because they knew when to accept it, when to share it, and when to set it down. And in a universe full of fragile systems and unstable worlds, that made all the difference. The Wayfarer's calm powered down its engines. The journey continued, but nothing would ever be the same again.